There is a growing mutiny inside of the Democratic Party to remove Biden as the nominee and replace him with someone who the Democrats feel is more viable against Donald Trump. The entire circumstances surrounding the first presidential debate proves that the legacy media nor the modern left cares anything about democracy. In this video, we're going to show that beyond a reasonable doubt to a reasonable person. And at the end of this video, we're going to talk about what is being predicted will happen next in the Democratic Party and what will happen with Biden. But for all of the talk of democracy, the U.S. Constitution, Article 4, Section 4, says the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a Republican form of government. You never hear the left talk about that, but I digress. Here are Democrats before the debate. And if they're lying about Biden's mental competence, what else are they lying about?
Sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
This is a man who is sharp, who is on top of his game, who knows what's going on.
This guy's tough. He's smart. He's on his game.
His mental acuity is great.
This is a man that's on his game.
President Biden is absolutely fit.
There's not a problem.
He's sharp, he's fit, he's always answering questions.
He is on the ball. He was sharper than anyone I've spoken to.
He is sharp. He is on top of things.
There's no doubt in my mind that the president is mentally fit for office.
Biden has proven himself to have a strong memory.
He's completely mentally sharp.
Their goal was to hide Biden's mental decline from the public and to get him to hopefully beat Trump, which I don't think was going to happen anyways. But here is another instance of this, of the media just, again, gaslighting. And it's important to hear these examples and contrast them to what the media is saying now, because the more examples there are, the more proof that they don't care about democracy. This will be a great video to share with your friends that are on the left or that are moderate. So share this video to show that the corporate media is not at all concerned about democracy. But let's continue.
And he's sharp as he's funny, he's sharp as a tack.
Kamala Harris says he is up to this task. He's sharp as a tack.
He's smart. He's energetic.
One of the themes this election cycle is that Joe Biden is too old to lead. And so everyone is seizing upon this. And it is a classic disinformation tactic. If you edit it in such a way, you can make it appear that he fits this narrative, that he is slow, that he is...
I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And, but by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie, that he's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
President Biden has proven himself to have a strong memory.
He has a great memory.
His mind is just as quick as that.
He is sharp enough.
Biden was sharp and on top of it.
President Biden.
Elon Musk made this very astute comment that almost the entire media repeated the same lie with the exact same words is disturbing. It's all controlled from the top. The legacy news is not merely fake, but also unoriginally fake. If you want to know the truth, it's on X. And let us continue. Here we are after the debate, and CNN, which is still rated to the left, they've moved more center after a new investor has came in, but they're still rated to the left. And listen to what they're saying about Biden.
So, Carl, according to the people you've been talking to, what are you hearing?
These are people, several of them, who are very close to President Biden, who love him, have supported him, have been among them, are some people who have raised a lot of money for him. And they are adamant that what we saw the other night, the Joe Biden we saw, is not a one-off, that there have been 15, 20 occasions in the last year and a half when the president has appeared somewhat as he did in that horror show that we witnessed. And what's so significant is the people that this is coming from, and also how many people around the president are aware of such incidents, including some reporters, incidentally, who have witnessed some of them. But here we see tonight, as these people say, President Biden at his absolute best, and yet these people who have supported him, loved him, campaigned for him, see him often, say that in the last 6 months particularly, there has been a marked incidence of cognitive decline, according to the people there.
So they know, the Democrats have known, his staff and journalists have known, but they're hiding it because they want him to win at all cost. And meanwhile, we're almost in World War III with Russia. And Trump called this out too about the media for years, obviously.
Strategy seems to be to call Biden a criminal. Why is that?
He is a criminal. He's a criminal. He got caught, read his laptop, and you know who's a criminal? You're a criminal for not reporting it. You are a criminal for not reporting it. Let me tell you something. Joe Biden is a criminal, and he's been a criminal for a long time, and you're a criminal in the media for not reporting it.
I don't know if I would go as far as say if the media is criminal, it is not unconstitutional to lie in a lot of circumstances, or not illegal, rather, for the media to lie. As unethical as it is, as much as I hate it, but it is true. They have lied. He's calling them out on the lies the whole time, and that was part of his populist appeal the whole time. Here is a moderate billionaire tech guy who he's just connecting the dots of what's been going on. He's been trying to contact Biden. Now he's a Trump supporter, but he had been trying to contact Biden. Listen to him connect these dots. And this is happening all over the country.
My honest takeaway is that person, though, is no longer really in charge. And I think that was very troubling for me. And it actually makes the last sort of 6 months make a lot more sense.
6 months.
So I thought the fact that we could not get a response from the White House I took it a little bit actually personally. I was wondering why, for someone that had been such an ardent supporter, I couldn't even get an email back when I was consistently asking them to be on the pod. And now I see that it wasn't just one single act. It was part of a holistic strategy. It was the same strategy that boxed RFK out of the Democratic primary. Because could you imagine if this event had happened when he had to debate RFK in the Democratic primaries? It would have been exposed then. It's probably partly to explain how the law has been used in New York State, whether you want to call it lawfare or not, but it was a very directed partisan action. And so all of these things are now 3 data points that are really important. You will not come on an open format show like ours to just speak openly. None of us were going to attack him or try to corner him or box him in. You prevented other people from actually challenging you and directly asking questions of you in the Democratic primaries. And then you try to put political pressure on your opponents. All of that is systematically about a group of people that are unelected who are trying to control democracy. And I think that's the most troubling takeaway from this. I don't think that you should take away from last night that Joe Biden had a bad debate. I think what we should take away is that there is a person who should be allowed to transition into the sunset and be celebrated for what he's done. And instead, there are people that, frankly, at the margins are acting pretty unethically, and at the limit is actually acting somewhat
diabolically
to prop this person up so that they can keep power. And the fact that they are allowing his legacy to be destroyed after 50 years, I think is really tragic.
I don't agree with Biden's legacy whatsoever, the decisions he made with policies, but it is tragic that they're allowing his legacy to be destroyed for power, for this oligarchical power, this group of people that are at the top that don't want to let go of the reins of government, and they'll use any tactics necessary to keep that power. But now let's transition to more of the corporate media, the written corporate or legacy media, whatever term you would like to call them. New York Times, before the debate, how misleading videos are trailing Biden as he battles age doubts. A flurry of recent clips, many of them edited or lacking context, laid bare a major challenge for the president as he tries to persuade voters he has the energy for a second term. After the debate, President Biden is my friend. He must bow out of the race. Another person. Biden cannot go on like this. A third person for the New York Times. I'm hearing high anxiety from Democrats over Biden's debate performance. A fourth person. President Biden, it's time to drop out. And here's another opinion piece from the editorial board of the New York Times. To serve his country, President Biden should leave the race. What happened to democracy? This guy was elected by his peers and primaries across the country, various states. Aren't those the people? Don't their democratic rights to vote, even though, again, we're in a republic, but their democratic rights matter to the Democrats and the left-leaning people in the media? No, it never did. Their facade is falling apart. And let's continue with more evidence. Time magazine yesterday, this is their official account on X, 4 million views. It shows Biden walking off the side of the page as if he's getting lost, or maybe they're implying that he needs to be out of the presidential scene. And it says panic. The machine is exercising their version of democracy, oligarchical control and a united message front, but they're failing. Now, the New York Post said off his clocker. They're a bit more centrist, or some say to the right, so I'm showing this screenshot last, but they're still a big media outlet, still mainstream. And I want to let you hear Tucker's brilliant realization on his Australian tour.
By force, and let the donors put someone in there who can beat the orange man, because that's democracy. And that made me start to think for the first time, maybe we're defining the word democracy a little differently. Maybe you've got a different understanding of what that means. Maybe you think democracy is when we do exactly what you and 8 of your friends want. That's what you think it is. Whereas I think democracy is when you do the will of the majority over time.
It's a small group versus the whole of what real democracy is versus oligarchy. And here is someone saying, I'm not going to use their exact language, but they're predicting what would happen if the Democrats tried to replace Biden with anyone but Kamala Harris. Now, Kamala is the worst polling vice president in the history of the United States since we've started polling vice presidents. I think we've been polling vice presidents 40 years now. I believe so. I'm not certain, but she's the worst as long as we've been doing it. And this person is saying, literally everyone who's told me Harris could be skipped over and black voters would get over it has been a white person. Look, I'm so white I blend into snow, but I'm here to tell you, if you F over the black community or women, you're done. So this is just the sentiment of some voters on the left. If they try an undemocratic thing and try to use their replacement who they think is best, the establishment left, that is. Now, here, Leading Report is saying that Senator Ted Cruz says he believes that Michelle Obama will be chosen to replace Joe Biden as the Democratic nominee. Now, interestingly, she is polling 3% behind Trump. I don't recall what specific poll that was, but it was very recent, and she's 3% behind Trump. But in the past, she stated she didn't enjoy the spotlight on her kids, and she doesn't want to be run for the president or be in the presidency and have that pressure on her family again. There are mixed signals as whether or not it will be her, but it's clear that the Democrats now and the corporate media do want to remove Biden. It will have to be someone if they follow through with that plan. Because here's a national Harris-Harvard poll respected by the left and by many in the center, and they are saying, I believe they overrepresent the left sometimes, but nonetheless, here's what they're saying recently, what voters say. Trump, 47, up 6 with leans, 52 to up 4, up 7. If you put in RFK Jr., that's more votes away from Biden. If you put in RFK Jr., Stein, and West, Trump is up 8. Who do you think won the debate? 52% say Trump, 22% say Biden, 26% say undecided. That was June 28th through the 30th, 2,000 registered voters. This is what Tucker Carlson says about it. But before that, they're going to have to replace him if they want to win. That is my opinion. I don't know that they'll be able to successfully, but the whole country knows now you can't put this back in the bottle. Somehow it shocks me that there were maybe roughly 100 million Americans prior to June 28th or 27th, whichever date specifically that debate was on, that those Americans, 100 million or so, I believe, was unaware of the cognitive decline of Biden. And that's because they're watching the corporate legacy media, and they were under the spell of the PSYOP. But you can't reverse that. And you certainly can't reverse many prominent Democrats saying they're losing faith in Biden. Here's what Tucker Carlson says. Biden is done. Bet on it. Too many prominent Democrats have suggested he's brain damaged. They can't walk that back. They have to remove him, and they will. The only question is when. If they're smart, they'll do it immediately. If Kamala's going to be the nominee, she might as well be the president first. That leaves the question of Trump and his sentencing on July 11th. Biden's collapse makes this a much more perilous moment than it was. At this point, Trump is not just the Republican candidate, but effectively the presumptive president. If you're going to put him in jail, it had better be for a very serious crime that everyone agrees he committed. Otherwise, you risk destroying the system completely and forever. We're in legitimate danger. Democrats need to pull back. And then Tucker goes on to say, all this nonsense you read about how only Biden can make the decision to leave is just so absurd. That's not how the Democratic Party works. No individual is more important than the collective. That's the whole point of the party. And in Biden's specific case, he's got no constituency in Washington. Yes, Ron Klain and the 85-year-old Ted Kaufman benefit directly from his presidency, but it's a small group. The rest of the city has no loyalty to Biden. They don't care about him. They've never taken him seriously. Any president works for them as long as he's a Democrat. It's never personal with these people because the individual doesn't matter. The democracy doesn't matter. It's been a facade and psyop. The American people are seeing that now, and this 180 from the media proves this to any reasonable person. So we can only hope that Trump wins and restores our republic and our Constitution, and that things get back to normal. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button. We'll be back with some more videos very soon. Take care.